The combo guard, the fans' favorite archetype in the league. Those scoring guards with deep bags who can flip a game in a matter of minutes. Players who can give you 40 points purely off jumpers. Players who can get a shot off against any defense, any player. But what if I told you that archetype is officially dead? The 2025 NBA offseason has been a quiet one, but that doesn't mean we haven't learned a lot. And one thing has clearly stood out. The NBA no longer values these scoring guards. Jordan Poole at age 24 averaged 22 points on good efficiency, and he was traded for little to no value. Anthony Simons is 25 years old, coming off another efficient scoring season, and the Portland Trailblazers could not find a trade partner for him until salary dumping him to Boston. Colin Sexton has been producing for the Jazz for a couple years now, and is coming off a pretty healthy season. Yet the Jazz had to attach a second-round pick to trade him for Jusuf Nurkic, and there was clearly no trade value in the league for him. Jalen Green just signed for $100 million and is 22 years old and averaging 21 points per game. Yet it was reported all offseason that he had negative value around the league, and the only reason why he got traded was because Kevin Durant leveraged his trade destination. Malik Monk is one of the most reliable combo guards in the NBA. He's a good playmaker, he's a good scorer, he can shoot a bit. Yet the Sacramento Kings are actively trying to trade him, and even a team like the Golden State Warriors, who don't have a lot of guards, said no to him. Norman Powell just had the best season of his career and was a big contributor for the Clippers. Yet they were not willing to pay him over $20 million, and they quickly traded him to Miami. And this entire list goes on and on. Cam Thomas, for example, still hasn't got paid by the Brooklyn Nets, despite being a 25 point per game scorer at 23 years old. So the number one thing that we can learn from this offseason is that the NBA does not want to pay these scoring guards. In the past, these type of players were some of the most coveted archetypes, and teams across the league would scramble to get a potential 20 point per game scorer. Yet more and more often, we continue to see failures when you get these type of players. And all of this goes beyond younger players too. You can see it with players like Bradley Beal and what they're dealing with right now. Players like Zach LaVine and how winning hasn't carried with him either. This archetype of player is fun to root for, they put up stats, and almost every single time when you watch them, you're just like, if they slightly improve their playmaking, if they slightly improve their defense, they're going to be an all-star, they're going to be a superstar. But as time has gone on in the NBA and analytics have become more prevalent, there's more indicators that this archetype of player just isn't conducive to winning. And to answer why this archetype has become less desired, I think it's important to look at the 4 most important parts of basketball in 2025. First of all, the most important thing in basketball, and will always be king, is getting deep in the paint and getting to the rim. No matter how good 3-point shooting becomes over time, getting to the rim and getting a shot within 3 feet will always be the most efficient shot in basketball. Not only is getting paint shots and getting shots near the rim very efficient offense for the team, it opens up the entire game offensively. It gives you different ways to score, it gives you different ways to pressure the defense. Now, the issue with these combo guards is they're usually tweeners. When I say tweeners, I mean they're in between positions, kind of like a 6'10 power forward. They're not really a true center, but they're really too big for a power forward and not quick enough. These combo guards don't have the size and strength of a shooting guard, but also don't have the playmaking feel of a point guard. Let's use Jordan Poole for example. He obviously can get to the rim to an extent, but since he's not a natural point guard, he's not a natural court processor, he's not very smart in terms of ways to get there. And his lack of overall size and athleticism is going to make it hard for him to finish over there consistently and be extremely efficient at the rim. So while yes, these combo guards obviously do get to the rim, they're quite one-dimensional in terms of what they do when they get there. If they do eventually force the defense into rotation because they get deep in the paint, they're usually not making the right read. Now once you compare that to a more natural point guard, someone like Darius Garland, they're going to make the right read when they're at the rim because they're a natural point guard, they're a natural court processor. These guys, however's primary objection is find ways to score and find ways to put points up. But the issue is, this type of style and this type of approach only works for 2 or 3 guys in the league every era. Right now, I think the best example is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's a score-first player, but he's 1-for-1 and probably a generational scorer. But for the most part, these combo guards' primary objection is to find ways to help the offense, but since they're so one-dimensional, if they're not scoring at an extremely high clip, there's not much they're adding. And this archetype did work in the past, and this archetype did have more value in the past. And I think the main reason why the score-first approach is hurting players more is because the NBA is too good now. Back then, role players weren't talented enough, so having these players who were able to take a lot of shots, players who were able to find ways to get shots up, were more valuable. But now that NBA shooters are so good, NBA role players are so good, getting a wide open shot for your team is as good as getting a good shot for yourself. And since NBA teams are scoring so much now, nearly 115 points a game, you have to be extremely efficient with the ball for your offensive impact to actually matter. The best shots in basketball are shots at the rim and wide open catch and shoot threes. And since this archetype is usually playing a lot of one-on-one, playing for the pick and roll, trying to find offense for themselves, they're not usually getting that. Now, this does not mean that these type of players do not have any type of impact. That would be factually incorrect. Every team needs multiple ball handlers, every team needs multiple scorers, and needs multiple players who are comfortable with the ball in their hands and scoring on one-on-one situations. That's always going to be important in fundamentals of basketball. But if we've learned anything from this year's playoffs and this year's finals, is that it's not the most important thing. The Thunder only had 2 ball handlers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams. Like I said earlier, Shai is a generational scorer, the best scorer in the world, and a complete outlier. I might hear people say that Jalen Williams plays like a combo guard, but the thing is he's 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan and is built so he can overcompensate stuff at the rim and as a finisher that those guards can't. Indiana, on the other hand, is a team built on quick decision makers who create a lot of wide open threes. Guys like Halliburton, TJ McConnell, Andrew Nembhard, they all orchestrate the system where they create wide open threes consistently. I did miss one important thing when talking about the Thunder and one of the main reasons why I think this archetype is dying. The most important stat in the NBA has been getting more shots than the other team, getting more possessions than the other team. And that obviously sounds obvious, but that's been amplified more with more analytics. And there's 2 main ways to get more possessions than other opponents: generating turnovers and getting offensive rebounds. And the issue is these combo guards usually lack both of them. These combo guards usually aren't athletic, they usually aren't big. And ask yourself, what do combo guards do best? It's almost always going to be pull-up shooting. And players who are good pull-up shooters usually have shorter arms, which means they're probably worse defenders. So I laid it out, the 4 most important aspects of basketball right now: getting to the rim and creating good efficient shots, getting wide open catch and shoot threes, generating more turnovers, and generating more possessions. And the big issue here is that these combo guards usually don't fulfill any of them. And we're no longer in the 2000s where there's only 2 or 3 talented players on each team. Your role players can hit tough shots, your center can hit tough shots. You no longer need these specialty ball handlers to specifically get up shots for your team. Pull-up shooting has become extremely advanced in the NBA, but it's still by far the least efficient shot in the league, and you're not putting that much pressure. So having guards like Jordan Poole, Anthony Simons, Cam Thomas spam a bunch of pull-up shots isn't doing much for your offense. And I think overall it just becomes much more harder to justify paying these guys in today's CBA. Really, you're only going to be paying 3 or 4 guys on big contracts and everyone else is going to be surrounded on MLEs and shorter deals. So I think going forward, we're going to see a lot of teams just give these players 2 or 3 years and see if they're truly special. If they see the potential for them to become an outlier like a Donovan Mitchell, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Devin Booker, they probably develop them and give them the max. But I think for the most part, teams are going to be scared for the next Emmanuel Quickley situation, the next Jalen Green situation where you pay a guy too early and they don't really show star potential. And I think we're going to see guys like Cam Thomas get iced out from new contracts more and more often. Now, if there's any archetype in the league that I think is going to benefit the most off this, I think it's going to be defensive guards, and I think they're going to get drafted higher and higher like the Oklahoma City Thunder have done over the last few years. Now, the thing is that this archetype, like every single archetype in the league, still has value. Jordan Poole helped the Warriors win a championship in 2022, but it was on a rookie contract. There was a time where traditional centers were outlawed out of the NBA and no one was paying them. There was a time in the league where teams were scared to pay specialty shooters. I think like everything in life and in the NBA, it's going to evolve and we're going to see a new generation of these guards. But for the short term, and specifically this season, it looks like this archetype has officially been blacklisted from the NBA. 99% of you guys watching are not subscribed, and I'd really appreciate if you did. And again, if you appreciated the video, I'd appreciate if you liked and subscribed. Either way, if you're still listening, I appreciate it. Thank you. Hope you all have a nice day.